the old warm-up exercises. Feet directed forward, so outside edges. A bend in the legs. Come to central equilibrium to start with. So feeling gravity as a flow of energy down the body and feeling your own strength holding you up as a flow of energy up the body. So these two flows are balanced, which is creating this stillness. Feel the spine, feel the sacrum, the heavy bone at the bottom, and the head trying to reach up. So the spine is being stretched. And then just turn around the spine. So we want to make sure it's the hips that are turning and not just the shoulders. And as you build up speed, the arms just start swinging. So the arms are like heavy ropes hanging from your shoulders, loose, relaxed, and heavy. Let the eyes go with the turn. So don't let your eyes fix on things. The head turns with the shoulders turn with the hips. And now the same exercise, but knocking the gates of life. Gates of life are the Min Meng and the Dan Qian, the front and the back here. So just turning to the side, letting the arms fly out away from you, and then turning back to the front, forming loose fists and letting the fists hit the Dantian and the Minmeng. So the idea is that that first exercise we did becomes this. As you sink into it and it gathers energy, it becomes this exercise. So you want to hit yourself hard enough that the belly tightens slightly. Belly gathers tone. Now moving the weight as much as you can. Just trying to get 100% in the foot. Feel the very bottom of the spine, the tailbone. My tailbone is searching for the ground underneath this foot. So there's a sense that my spine is reaching down. Otherwise, the whole thing becomes compressed. So the activity really is in the bottom of my spine. It's trying to find the ground under this foot. And then this foot is relatively loose on the ground. There's no sort of residue. There's no remnant in the other foot. So my tail is sinking down. So our tail tends to have become crushed because of the heaviness of our footfalls. So every time we hit the ground with a foot, it tends to bang up into the tail, which crunches up. So here we want the activity to actually come from the opening tail. My tail is trying to get down, and then this can come up. So if we use the mind differently, then moving around, stepping, walking can be used to loosen and unravel the tail. But it does require the mind to be with it. I need to be mindful of that part of my body. and then just picking up a bit of speed. And on this one, the hands just come a bit higher. So the front hand is trying to reach the heart, and the back hand is trying to reach the back of the heart. Trying to get maximum turn. So when you turn to the side, try and make sure you are facing that wall. So you turn more than on the previous one because we're allowed to move the feet on this one. So the exercises become meditation. The mind quietens and settles in the center of the movement. And you become aware of the energy, the swirling that's going on around you. And then the third one. So now pivoting on the ball of the foot. And your arms just flinging out. So this hand is moving in that direction and this hand in this direction. The tail doing the same thing as on the previous one. My tail is really the active part of me. It's trying to find my root. It's trying to find this leg, this foot, the ground beneath my foot. And the sense that you're releasing something from your palms. So in this country, there's a beautiful little hummingbird. And I just imagine that I'm releasing one from the hand as I turn to the side. So my body is moving in this direction, but the energy is releasing here. So John once said to me, Tai Chi addresses the problem of letting out your energy. So releasing your energy and letting it escape from your body is actually very difficult. The mind inhibits it. Part of your mind is with the tail that's trying to burrow down the leg and into the ground. And part of your mind is with this little bird that you're releasing from your palm. The yin and the yang. And of course, the part that we tend to forget about is the tail bit, the legs. We tend to privilege that in Tai Chi to try and right the balance. And now just these two that Nitzan put in, just bouncing. So the spring in the legs, feeling the sacrum just heavy hanging loosely, and just letting it bounce up and down. The arms just swinging side to side loosely. So when we use the legs to move around, it tends to push the sacrum up and back like this. So here we're just trying to just keep it hanging vertically downwards as the legs are working. So it's relaxing down through the legs all the time. Feel the feet, the heels out. So the outside edge is parallel. So that tends to prioritize the heels. The heels are with the lower body. So we're trying to sink, we're trying to get through the legs and into the ground. And so we need to give the lower body priority over the upper body. If you get the bottom part right, then the top part will take care of itself. This is the idea. And then just alternating the arms. And just letting that swing just pull you from side to side a little bit. And also bring a little bit of a turn in. And if your sacrum is properly relaxed and heavy and hanging vertically, then this will want to reach upwards. And now a wider stance, more like our wide riding horse, making sure the outside edges are parallel again. And just circling. So with this one where we circle with the hands and it gradually gets bigger. So try to get it to come from the turning which is what's moving the circle side to side, and from the legs bending, which is what takes it down. So if you find your toes are trying to drift outwards, just relax across the sacrum a little bit more. And then this time when we get to the bottom, just change direction. Think of it as an exercise to loosen up the spine. So just trying to get the spine to just bend in all directions. And then just letting it wind down, so gradually the circles get smaller. Bow and arrow posture, so 1 foot forwards, normally the left to start with, but it doesn't really matter. Feeling that outside edge, my little toe edge, pointing forwards, the back foot pointing to the corner. And then just trying to keep the hips square, facing forwards, and just moving the weight backwards and forwards. When I go into the back foot, 100% of my weight goes there. And when I come into the front foot, just 70%, which isn't much more than half. If you try and bring too much weight into the front foot, you'll lose the relaxation in the sacrum and the lower back, and you won't be using the front leg properly. The arms just swing. And just working from the lower body. So all the time, just feel the tail. My tail, as I go back, my tail is trying to reach that back heel. And it's that that moves me backwards. Now my tail is cut under a little bit and it's trying to find the front heel. it's as though the spirit is in the tail. It's like a little worm that's trying to get back into the earth. It's looking for the darkness. Feel the emotion, feel the feeling. So moving backwards, my tail trying to find my back foot feels very different from my tail trying to find my front foot. Changing the feet around. So as you come into the leg becomes round, and as you leave the leg straightens. So when I'm in the front foot, I really want to feel it. It's bent, but the feeling is that it's come out like this because I want the hip to really open. It's not just bent on this plane. So my knee is actually trying to drift out all the time. So as I come forwards, my knee is trying to circle, just to sort of pull the hip open a little bit. Just in your mind, it doesn't have to be too explicit. And the same in the back foot. So as I'm going back, this knee is trying to do this. So rather than just settling back like this, I'm really rounding out the knee. So you can work from all sorts of different places. So my mind can be in my tail trying to find the ground, or it can be in the knees that are trying to round out, or anywhere else, whatever you want to work on. So the thing to guard against in these exercises is just going through the motions and just allowing your mind to wander and become lazy and indulgent. So you need to find something just to focus on, to give it clarity and incisiveness. And now the stepping one. So just starting from attention posture, sinking down. And again, remember, it's my tail that's trying to find the ground. So I sink through the leg rather than simply settling on top of it. And then I just step. Make sure the foot is on the ground before you transfer the weight. And then back. So this is a really good one for working on the tail. My tail is trying to find the foot, and it's that makes me move. So the foot we tend to forget is the one that's not moving. So my tail is pulling me here, but then again here, my tail is trying to find this heel, and that draws me back into the foot. Putting the foot down ever so lightly. So a good habit to get into, especially when you're doing the form, is just to pause slightly before you put the weight in the foot, and then put the weight in the foot. Pause a little bit, and then bring the weight here. Put this down, big toe down first, pause, and then move. Then you can feel that burst of spirit that actually initiates the movement. So we move slowly to try and observe all the different stages of the movement. So my spirit sparks, my tail reaches down towards the leg, my leg starts pulling me to help the tail down, and then this foot comes up, and then this foot reaches forwards, and now what is it that sparks? It's just a little ping, and the tail reaches down, and I move. So the last thing to move is your body. The spirit, the tail, the energy, all of that has started mobilizing before your body moves. And then just release the arms and just let them swing. So once you've got it, just let it just pick up a bit of speed. So the problem with practicing something that's so familiar is that we tend to just repeat what we've done before. So what we're trying to do is do it better than we've done before. So there should be a sense that you're doing it for the first time. You're reviewing the technique. And if the practice reveals something in the exercise that you hadn't realized was there, then just make sure that you make a mental note of that so that you can incorporate it next time you practice it. So when we move around, when we move the feet in Tai Chi, there should be a sense that you're prowling, you're on the prowl, you're stalking, you're hunting, and you're trying your best to keep a low profile. So to stay down and also to step so lightly that you don't disturb. So there should be a sense that your toes can sort of test the ground, like testing the water to see how hot or cold it is. And then you put your weight into it. And then the other foot. So starting from attention posture, I sink into the left foot. So that is initiated by my tail, which is unraveling and just sinking down the leg, finding the heel. And then I can step here. Big toe, just touching the ground with the big toe. And then easing into the heel. And then back into this foot. And then back to riding horse with the left foot forwards. Circling the arm. So this hand can either be sitting on your hip bone, on the iliac crest, or it can be in the fold of your hip. It's up to you. And then changing the feet around. And now this exercise, but just starting it off from the way we've been doing it, so filling and emptying the leg. So as I come forwards, I want to feel that as the ground coming up my body. And then as I move back and empty the leg, I feel that as a flow out of the leg. So here the ground is coming up and I'm filling up. And then here, the leg is emptying. And getting the back leg involved as well. So as I move back, the back leg is filling, the front leg is emptying. So there's a natural turn. As you come into the leg and fill it up, you tend to turn towards it. And as you move out of the leg and it empties, you tend to turn away from it. So the leg fills, that's the yielding phase. The leg emptying, that's the attacking phase. That's you just releasing the energy and allowing it to flow out of the body. This is me taking something in. I'm yielding either to the ground or to the other person. And then we just allow it to become this exercise. So here, you were just trying to keep the hips forwards. But again, just feeling the filling and emptying. That leg is filling. So this whole side of my body is emptying. This side of my body is filling. This whole side of my body is emptying. So I'm yielding here. So that means my leg is sucking the ground up into me, but this hand is sucking the other person into me. And then the energy can just come out of the other side. Keeping it loose across the sacrum. Really feeling the sacroiliacs. So the sacrum and tail, it's the part of the body that most people are just unaware of. So what we would like is for it to become the part of the body that we are most aware of. That is where our feeling and our attention is. So when the tail wakes up and comes alive, it will feel like it's trying to erupt out of the skin. So the tail needs to become flexible because it needs to swing from side to side. So here it's pointing down into this heel. Just before I've completed that movement, it has to swing here and find the back heel. So there should be a real sense of almost wriggling in your tailbone. And that's just the lightness and flexibility in the mind. This is the mischief. And then the other way. First, just filling from the ground, and then emptying back down into the ground. And then just And then waving hands. So the bottom hand reaches forwards and yields to the side. The other hand comes down underneath it. So the top hand is yielding, the bottom hand is attacking, like it's striking something like this. Keep your mind with the lower body. So especially the hips here, just making sure it's the hips that are turning rather than just the shoulders. And then just riding horse. Now just feel the spine. And we don't want it to move. We just turn around it. It's like a pole stuck in the middle. And here, just getting the hips to start turning. So the difficulty with this one is not to get stiff. Each angle that you find yourself at has a different feeling than the one that was there before. So just feel how, what I call the emotion, it's really just the feeling, how it changes as you turn. And all the time, just relaxing the sacrum, relaxing the sacroiliac joints and the hip joints. We're so used to tensing there to give ourselves a sense of stability and certainty, that to actually relax there is really difficult. So each leg is like a hose of energy. You can think of it as like a hose of water, and it's the flow, it's the pressure of water that is actually maintaining the structure and the movements. You don't need to get tense around it. If you get tense, you'll just block the flow. So to get the legs feeling like they're flows of energy, you have to open up the feet. So the sole of the foot on the ground is a site of exchange, not simply a hard surface. Back to riding horse. And now just turning the head. Registering the feeling. And now the one where we pump the ears. So just pressing on the ear, pressuring it, and then quickly releasing. And then tapping the back of the head with this flicking finger, either side of the occiput. Loose fists massaging into the kidney area. So if the sacrum is hanging loosely down, then that kidney area will just stretch a little bit and it will be easier to get into with your knuckle. And then just rubbing the belly. And then just changing direction. So coming up the middle and down the sides. You're just making two circles that overlap slightly in the middle. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed. There's a temptation to get this movement coming from the shoulders. It's just from the lower arm, really. So the action is in the elbows. Relax the hands down and then just breathe the hands up. Breathing in and then breathing out. So you can think of the middle of the palm coming up towards these lung points on the beginning of the lung meridian. Or you can think of them just connecting to the heart. So they could just come up and just come in towards the middle. Feel the energy. So when you breathe in, you're breathing in not simply through the nose, you're breathing in through the soles of your feet. So energy is coming up your body into the heart. And then as you breathe out, it's going back down. Circling the foot. So if you want to keep the balance better, just feel the tail reaching down the leg. Shaking the foot. So the ankle loose. So the ankle tends to be the joint in the leg that tends to get neglected. And then down into this foot. And then a wide riding horse stance, really sinking down into it and shaking the wrists. Like you're screwing in light bulbs. So if you go quick and just keep it going, it gets to the point where the hands really relax and feel like they've turned into jelly. And then just give them a good shake. And then just bring it up to attention. And then before you finish, just give yourself the directions. So the head suspended, a sense that there's something here that's trying to just beam upwards. The sacrum is heavy. My tail is just trying to unravel and point downwards. Shoulders are relaxed, the hips really loose. And just this sense of this waterfall of warm water flowing down the front of your body. So just really feeling gravity draining down through you. And then just switch your mind and feel your own strength, your own brightness rising up through the body. A little bit of a bend in the legs. As soon as the legs unlock and just bend very slightly, you will get this central equilibrium, the flow down and the flow up. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. A little bit of tone here. Really open here, like the knees are wanting to go out. And soft across the sacroiliacs. So if you wanted to really get this, then just bring the toes in. This tends to be how I do this posture now. So energy is the flow of intention. To get into energy, you just need to relax the mind, just let it become quiet. And then the energy will just open up. And of course, that takes quite a bit of work, if you call meditation work.